Black family. Dr. Umar Johnson here, live at Lamone Owen College.
Dr. Umar, out of all of the clips I've seen on you, you're so serious. I understand that you like Naughty by Nature and all of that. Can you make up a rap about, briefly, African Americans and moving forward in a positive way? Something with your superhero guy in there, you know.
Wow, I have no lyrical talent.
I will be Bob.
I have no lyrical talent.
Dr. Umar.
I mean,
So you're gonna let me down like that?
I have no lyrical talent. I'm gonna work on the rap, and then next time I'll be able to say it.
Oh, really?
But you would think I do, coming from Philadelphia. We got a lot of.
You got Kevin Hart from there.
I'm not one. Well, he's a comedian.
Yeah, he's a comedian, but he calls himself Chocolate Drop. He's a rapper when he wants to be.
Proud of his success.
So Dr. Umar, really, when you're not lecturing, what are you doing?
When I'm not lecturing, I'm reading, writing, thinking, meditating, watching scary movies, hanging out with family, typing children, doing counseling in the schools.
Talk something about the projects you're working on currently.
My next book, The Art of War for Sisters, using military science to find and keep a good man. Also the comic book, Ifatunde, The Prince of Pan-Africanism, which is going to teach our children and adults about the everyday war being waged against African people by white supremacy through the use of graphics and art. Also my school, which is my most important project, my life's work.
And I understand you're taking resumes and applications right now.
Wants to work at the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RBG Leadership Academy. They can email their resume and cover letter. It must have a cover letter telling me what do you believe you can bring to the table to fdmgresumes at gmail.com. That's F as in Frederick, D as in Douglas, M as in Marcus, G as in Garvey, resumes, R-E-S-U-M-E-S, plural, at gmail.com.
Some people don't know that you are kinsmen to Frederick Douglass. How is it that you were able to track down your ancestor?
The blessing was I didn't have to track it down. It was merely passed down to me through the family. Frederick Douglass is my great-great-great-great-grand uncle and cousin. He and my great-great-great-great-grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey, a Civil War veteran, business owner, and also one of the early founders of the Bethel Union AME Church. They were cousins. Their mothers were sisters, my Aunt Harriet and my grandmom, Young Betsy, but they were also brothers because the slave master, Aaron Anthony, who quote-unquote owned our family, raped both of their mothers. So the cousins were also brothers. I'm also a blood relative of Bishop Alexander Wayman, who was the seventh bishop under the African Methodist Episcopal Church, which was started by Richard Allen out of Philadelphia. He is also a great-great-great-great-grand uncle, not a cousin though. And I'm related to him through my great-great-great-grandmom, Annie Wayman, who was a niece of Alexander Wayman, which would make him a great uncle of mine also. And she married my great-great-great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey, who was the nephew of Frederick Douglass and the first black public school teacher in Talbot County, Maryland. Now,
you love to talk about Garvey. Can you compare Garvey for me to W.E.B. Du Bois?
I don't really think there is no comparison, but there's definitely a contrast. Garvey was a leader of a mass organization designed to empower African people with their own hands and their own money. W.E.B. Du Bois was an integrationist who was a member of a white-controlled and Jewish-created organization,
Harvard grad,
the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Du Bois was more of an intellect, whereas Garvey was a leader. Du Bois, I believe, was a light-skinned supremacist, and he was a founding father of the Boule, whereas Marcus Garvey did not believe in any form of color hierarchy. He believed that the respect you get comes not from your color, but your commitment and contribution to the people. So I think that no two leaders are probably more opposite in character and in influence and impact than Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois. One man led an organization of 15 million, put ships on the water, built colleges, gave black women their first organized military organization, and the other person just wrote and worked for a white organization. I wouldn't belittle W.E.B. Du Bois' contribution to African history in the form of scholarship, but in the form of leadership, I'm not too sure he would be considered a leader in my book.
Okay, now I follow you on Facebook, and I noticed that you placed on your page a quote from Garvey, and I can't say it verbatim, so I'll paraphrase. You know, it goes something like, "I'm not trying to take everybody back with me."
Yes, it's commonly assumed erroneously that Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the provisional president of Africa, that he led a Back to Africa movement. That is not true. Marcus Garvey never led a movement to take all Africans back to Africa. That was a phrase that was concocted by the media and enemies of the Garvey program. Marcus Garvey said that he has no, quote, "I have no desire to take every African back to Africa. Some of you are no good here, and thusly will be no good there." End quote. We're only looking to take back to Africa African people who are industrious enough, committed enough, hardworking enough to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, to take a W.E.B. or to take a Booker T. Washington phrase, to help improve Africa. We don't need black men with white wives going back to Africa. We don't need sexually confused Africans going back to Africa. We don't need perms going back to Africa.
I saw today you posted something about the new thing is Negro
Right.
How do you pronounce it?
Negropean is the new black.
Negropean is the new black, meaning straight hair.
Well, straight blonde hair.
Okay.
So not just the straight hair, but copying 100% the European phenotypical beauty standard of the white woman. We don't need that in Africa.
Dr. Umar, thank you so much for your time, and I understand that you talk about Garvey a lot. Garvey gave back, Garvey did this, Garvey did that, and the school that you are so adamant about. Why is it that you feel like you have to do something?
Because I don't see many other people who claim to be conscious speakers or leaders or organizers trying to do anything to change condition besides give out information. And a lot of them are only talking about old information from the past.
Okay.
We need a program now.
Okay.
And we're not going to find the answer to our problem by going way back in ancient African history. We need programs to deal with our present problems.
So would you agree that there's propaganda even in the conscious community, you know, where people are actually capitalizing on the fact that you have those who are thirsty to know more about their culture, and they are, you know, using that to their advantage for financial, gain?
I think that the conscious community is a for-profit industry. Black leadership is a for-profit industry. Black scholarship is a for-profit industry. And the word for-profit and struggle don't go together. The word for-profit and sacrifice don't go together. That doesn't mean you cannot make some money doing what you do, but the money should be a secondary aspect of your primary purpose for being in this work, and that is to help our people. When the money becomes primary, you are not a revolutionary. You are a revenue chaser. You are a capitalist, not an activist. Okay, and it's important that we keep the distinction, because people who are going around making money are being told that they're revolutionary activists. No, they're not. They are cultural capitalists, and we need to understand the difference between a cultural capitalist and a true crusader for the common good. One sacrifices, the other one gains.
What's one of your favorite quotes?
Booker T. Washington, the late great sage of Tuskegee, who said, "No man can pull me low enough and degrade my character by making me hate him. I will not hate." Marcus Garvey said, in a world of wolves, one should go armed, and the most powerful defensive weapon within the reach of Negroes is the practice of race first in all parts of the world. He said, God never intended us to be a race without a country, and we are not going to abuse God's confidence.
And just to clarify, I remember hearing you talk about hate, and you said hate is just a waste of energy,
Yes,
so you don't hate anyone.
Not even the oppressor.
Thank you.
I gotta do the abbreviated version because of the time, y'all. Now, one other thing that we gotta study before we settle down is people's parenting skills. She got a son, you got a daughter. You never studied how she raises her son. She never studied how you raise your daughter. If y'all don't agree on how to raise the kids, it's not gonna work. He likes to beat kids every time they do something wrong. Ladies, you ever fall in love with a man who's a child abuser? You're like, damn, I love him, but he whips their ass. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like that. Fellas, you ever fall in love with a woman, but she's so soft when the kids, they run over her? You're like, damn, I love this woman, but my kid's gonna run over her. She ain't got no backbone. Come on. When I'm not home, you gotta handle it. Right? So you gotta make sure y'all evenly yoked with the children. Y'all gotta agree on discipline. Y'all gotta agree on academics. Y'all got to agree on college. Y'all gotta make sure they can love your kids like you love them. Because a lot of us marry selfish people who want you and don't want your kids. And no matter how much you try to make the kids think that they care about them, the kids can tell. You cannot lie to a child. You know why? Because they come to school and they tell Dr. Johnson, my daddy just married his girlfriend and she don't like us. Well, how do you know she don't like you? Did she say it? She ain't got to say it. I can tell the way she look at us, that woman wishes we weren't around. And if you marry somebody who don't like your children, guess what's going to happen? The kid's going to start hating you. And when they graduate and move out the house, you will never see them again. I hate you because I didn't ask to be here. And you put him. For the ladies, 6 types of men you want to look out for: pimp, predator, player, couch potato, impregnator, and professional. Let's deal with the pimp. The pimp is the man who wants to use you for your economic resources. He wants your credit cards, your checkbook, your credit line, your car, pay my child support, get my clothes out the cleaners. He's looking for a benefactor. He's looking for a sponsor. And if you're a black woman with low self-esteem, that's exactly what you will be. You got a player. Who's the player? He's the opposite of the pimp. The pimp wants your money. Player got his own money. Pimp wants your credit. Player got his own credit. Pimp wants your car. Player got his own car. Player only after one thing in Memphis: the immortal cookie. And he likes every flavor: chocolate, butter, almond, brown sugar, syrup, butter, almond, butter, pecan, soft batch. He's the Memphis cookie monster. And ladies, some men like to sample cookies until they find the woman they need. And then they say, I found her. And they give up all the other cookies. Wow. Most men will do that. When we find her, we detach the rest. Some men will play all their life. 80 years old, and he's still going. So you better study him well. Old school pimp. Have you ever seen an old school? He had on the first pair of Diodoras, Allen Iverson jersey, the breaking name bell, the name bell iced tea, cornrows with a ball spot. It don't go all the way back and stop, and it's got to start over. Old school pimp. Don't hate the player, hate the predator. He's dangerous. This is the man who beats his women physically. Black women have one of the highest domestic abuse rates in this country. This is not limited to the church, because they're in the mosque too. And they're in the church too. They're everywhere, including people who ain't got no religion. Black men are beating their women like it's going out of style. And do you know why men are doing this? Why do black men do it? Because you got to suffer the oppression with the Parent Association, that social committee. We're going to have to start a support group for black men with domestic violence tendencies, because some of y'all got it. And I'm going to be real right now. I ain't talking about y'all because I live in Philly. But there's certain pastors in Philly, I don't deal with them. And there's certain imams in Philly, I don't deal with them. Because they're aware of domestic violence in their mosque and don't do a damn thing about it. Aware of domestic violence in the church and don't do nothing about it. See, I'm normally the first line. I get the emails from the wives. My husband is so-and-so, Dr. Umar. He's putting his hands on me. So I go to the imam. I go to the pastor. Look, I got an email from sister, his wife, man, he beating on her, man. She ain't even come to Juba because of the eye. She ain't come to Sunday prayer, Bible study, because she beat up. Well, brother, they took an oath before the Lord. You know, that's his household. Huh? So your religion condones violence? Muhammad ibn Abdullah, peace be upon him, didn't condone that. Jesus didn't condone that, peace be upon him. Why are we condoning it? Because you're a coward. Stop using religion. You're just afraid to confront. That's why in the black community, we need a ski mask club. Yeah. Who would be on the ski mask club? You know the ski mask club? Once a week, we dress in all black. And we got a long list of people who've been messing up. And we go to ski mask class. That's right, bro. We get you a ski mask club. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, you thought this was going to be all... No, you ain't going to pray domestic violence away. Check him. That's right. When he know he get beat after she get beat, it'll stop. Come on, y'all. And ladies, if he hit you once, he's going to hit you again. You got to leave after the first hit. Well, I can't because we married. Excuse me. Your daughter is watching her mother get beat on.
That's right.
Do you not know that means she's more likely to accept it herself?
That's right.
Your son is watching his mother get beat on. Do you not know that most men who beat their women grew up in houses where they saw it role modeled first? You ain't helping them kids by staying with an abusive husband. Get the hell out of the relationship before he kills you.
That's right.
Love ain't supposed to hurt. But sometimes you ain't around long enough to figure that out. And then you got the couch pussy, lazy ass black man. He could find a job. He just don't want to. He could help the kids with their homework. He just don't want to. See, he grew up where his mother told him he was the best thing since sliced bread. So he ain't got to do nothing except breathe. And he looking for a woman who's going to pay all the bills. He going to stay home all day. You come home after busting your backside. He got on your robe, your flip-flops, your do-rag, your remote control. They got a nerve to ask you what's for dinner when he been home all day. Black woman, too many of y'all raising men. Stop raising men. Raise children. You don't raise men. And some of y'all treat the men better than your own kids. If he's old enough to find a job, he should have one. Now, if a brother is on hard times, because we know it's hard for brothers to get employed. And if a woman is holding her man down, because he just got out the joint and he's having a hard time because of his felony, or even if he ain't got no felony, but the brother is trying and he can't, I'm not talking about you, brother. I'm not talking about the ones who trying but can't. She's supposed to hold her man down. I'm talking about the ones who could but ain't interested. And then we got the impregnator of Memphis. Who's the impregnator? He just goes around making babies all through Memphis. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Probably some of y'all here, what you laughing at? Baby on south side Memphis. Baby on north side Memphis. Baby on east side Memphis. The fact he got a lot of kids ain't the problem. I think it's a blessing to have a lot of children. Multiply. My problem is when you don't take care of them and you don't even admit they're yours. So ladies, you meet a brother, you say, how many kids you got? I got 2. You find out 2 weeks later, he got like 22. Then you come back and say, wait a minute, brother, you told me you only had 2 kids. No, I didn't say that. You wasn't listening. I said I had too many to tell you about. And then you got the professional, Mr. Black Man who goes around Memphis trying to make women think he got more going for himself than he actually does. No self-esteem black man, got to make himself look real big. I do security for Puff Daddy. From Memphis? Yes, sir, rock! I get a private flight every day. You just don't see me in the morning when I leave because the place on top of my house. I come out the window and I get to the puffy driving with his tight suit on. Puffy driving. Be yourself, black man. All you doing is begging for a gold digger if you're going to keep selling yourself with your money and your accolades.